Well, now we've reached sort of the climax of the evening. I haven't have everyone's excited, but I think we have something very special. We have something, really special for everyone here tonight, and with our Lifetime Achievement Award. It's sort of an interesting situation where you have somebody who has not only influenced the sport, but essentially created the sport. Usually, if you're talking like this, you're talking about somebody from 70, 80, 90 years ago. You're looking at old sepia tone black and white images. But we're all lucky enough to have that person here with us tonight. And I could go on, as I've been known to do, but instead I'm going to bring someone up that I think is more qualified to really put this gentleman's accomplishments and contributions in perspective. So please give a big round of applause for a man that in surfing and paddling defines the term legend, Jerry Lopez.
Thanks, Sam. Wow, kind of hard to see. Every year, boy, this thing gets bigger and better and more fun. And one thing that never changes is, man, there's a lot of love and aloha in this room, and that's really great. I'd like to ask a friend of mine to come up here and help me with my presentation. Willie, you out there? Can you come on up here? This is my buddy Willie DeWolf, and he's here with his mom and his sister Sophia. Is your dad coming too? Yeah. And he's going to be racing this weekend. So I just asked Willie how old he was. He's 10 years old. Throughout our lives, whether we're young or old, we meet young people like Willie here who, because we recognize something, something in them is inspire or lift or move us in a variety of ways. It may be that they have a particular affinity or passion for whatever it is they do that appeals to us. Or it may be that special twinkle in their eyes. So Willie, look out there. Let them see your eyes. I think there's a little of that in all of us, but it somehow manages to come out bigger and better in some people, and if given the right circumstances, can blossom into greatness. So the person who's receiving this award, and Willie, you hang on to that. If someone comes up here and looks like they really deserve it, you give it to them. But the person who's receiving this Lifetime Achievement Award has been a huge inspiration to a whole lot of people, myself included, for a long time. And my relationship began, it's a long time ago, back in the 1960s. I was down in Encinitas working for Hansen Surfboards, and his young mother, Joanne, came up and asked me if I'd watch him that evening while she went out. I said, yeah, of course. But what do I have to do? I really wasn't sure if I was up to the task. She said, well, just make sure he stays in his crib And, you know, she was gone before I could think of anything else. Well, over the, you know, years, as I got to know him a little better, I realized that he had given me a free pass that night by staying asleep. You know, little did I know how easily it could have gone far the other way with this young Tarzan. And Joanne came back and found us both fast asleep and had a laugh, I'm sure, and maybe even a little sigh of relief. Over the next years, I bet there were more than a few instances where she probably questioned herself as why she just didn't keep the stork instead. But Joanne and her young son went out to the country, which is what we used to call the North Shore back in those days. She met and married a surfer named Billy. And they lived right in front of the pipeline. And, you know, the top big wave pioneers like Warren Harlow and Jose Angel and Peter Cole used to come by and get Billy to make them surfboards in his backyard. The little boy was there like a sponge, soaking up all that surf talk and that high energy. He always thought big thoughts. He had this boundless energy and a determined fortitude to make them happen, even if early on they were sometimes misdirected. I was surfing the pipeline one day and I lost my board. And, you know, this back then way before leashes, and so I swam in to get it, and you know, I was walking back up the beach, and I saw the boy. You know, he was probably a couple years younger than you are, Willie, digging this great big hole in the beach. And you know, it was a lazy day, and except for the handful of surfers out in the water, he was the only one on the beach. And I decided rather than paddle back out, I'd help him dig. I mean, I didn't know what he was digging this hole for, but it's big enough to bury a body. We're digging this hole, and Rory Russell walks up, you know, showing off his brand new lightning bolt surfboard while he's waxing it up, and then he paddles out, and you know, we keep digging, and a few minutes later, Rory's surfboard washes in. The boy and I look at the surfboard, then we look at each other, and I see that special twinkle in his eye, and it made me smile. And I guess he took that as some kind of sign, because quick as a snake, man, he was down there, he grabbed that board and dragged it up into the hole, and pushed all the sand over it. This big wave came up and erased all signs of our digging. And you know, Rory came in a little further down the beach, and he looked down towards the beach bark for his board. Didn't see it, you know, started walking back our way, so we're like laying there all innocent like, you know, while Rory's like frantically looking up and down the beach. Hey, did you guys see my board? I don't know, what did it look like? Trying to keep a straight face, you know, he goes, "That's that brand new red one, man, I just showed it to you, man." Looking around. "Oh man, I didn't see it. Did you?" I asked the kid, you know, and he had his face pressed in the sand to keep from laughing, shaking his head. "Hey, didn't we see some long-haired hippie guy with a red board, like down there by off the wall or something?" You know, I thought Rory was certain to smell a rat anytime soon. Instead, he took off running down the beach, you know. So, you know, with him gone, we both cracked up and heaped more sand over his board, and, you know, watch Rory run up the right of way at, I Then he must have ran down the road because we saw him come down the right of way by Billy's house, and he ran up towards the beach park to probably look through the parking lot there, and finally we see him, huffing and puffing, red face from running around, shoulders slumped, a picture of dejection heading back our way. And by then the wave action had kind of uncovered the board, and the kids scampered off for home. I paddled back out just before we heard Rory screaming bloody murder at the top of his lungs. And the boy certainly did give his mom, his dad, some others, more than a few cases of the fits. But he also kept growing, kept doing bigger and bigger things. Sadly, Joanne passed on, but I know she was very, very proud of how this Kolohi rascal son of hers grew into an admirable, accomplished, very well-respected gentleman. I've had the good fortune and great pleasure building him many surfboards, traveling to many places, and being a part of this boy's life. I wouldn't have traded it for anything. I also personally seen him innovate several sporting endeavors that have since exploded. To name a few: aerial rotations on surfboards, tow-in surfing, kiting, foil boarding, and the reason we're all here tonight, stand-up paddle surfing. Well, I'd like to present the person we can all blame for this wonderful sport of ours that we love so much, that continues to grow and give us so much joy, so much fun. We should probably feel guilty for it, but I don't. And I'm proud to present to you, for a lifetime of achievements, Mr. Laird Hamilton.
I think I first met Laird when he lived at Pipeline. I used to come there surf, and he was like, I don't know, like 8 or something, and Laird would hang out at the beach, and that was, if people lost their board, he'd grab the board and bury it in the sand, and then sit there and watch while guys like search for their board. I was one of his victims, and he got a real kick out of it.
I would say over the years we've entertained each other quite a bit with the antics we've gotten ourselves into, and I think eventually stand-up probably would have come into its own at some point. It might have been another year, it might have been another 30 years. It's hard to say for sure, but I think the fact that Laird and I did it, more specifically Laird, brought it a lot of attention, a lot of interest right out of the gate. It started to spread like wildfire, but Laird's notoriety, personality, really had a lot to do with the momentum that it gained early on.
Growing up on Maui, you're watching some of the biggest waves ever ridden be ridden by guys like Laird Hamilton. I was always, really, honored and stoked to know him, and surfing today wouldn't be where it is without towing surfing. And stand-up paddling, may not have gotten, the publicity it needed to become an actual sport without Laird Hamilton, somebody who kind of brought it back from the dead. You can always tell he's pushing the boundaries of what everyone thought was possible, and he's just been a true inspiration and definitely one of my heroes growing up.
He pretty much single-handedly turned paddling on a board with an oversized paddle into something that's just caught on around the world. I mean, I don't know if everybody that paddles realizes, why they're able to do that, or really kind of how it came about. But if it weren't for Laird, I don't think the sport would be where it is today. There's no way.
Well, thank you very much, and I want to thank Jerry for not telling all the stories. So that was really actually one of the nicer ones that he could have chosen.
There's a long list. And I thank Joe for being so generous, and most of all, thank all of you for being here. It just helps me remember that I'm not just completely crazy, that other people might enjoy it too if I liked it so much. And I started doing stand-up just because it was fun. It was just a fun thing to do, and another way to be in the ocean. And I quote Brian Keolana, and he said, don't define me by my tools. Stand-up is just one of the many tools in the arsenal. And I think the most important thing that's happening right now, when you see the energy that's happening in this room, is that we need an army, a vigilant army. You saw the first speakers tonight talking about all these issues that are going on. We need the energy that is here to, grow an army to battle against all these problems that we have with our water, so our kids and our kids' have those. It's interesting that when you look at surfing's influence on the world from the beginning, we have skateboarding and snowboarding and wakeboarding and all these other board sports because of surfing. And it comes from a little island in the middle of the Pacific, from the Polynesians, who were the greatest navigators in the world. And so now you see stand-up. Now stand-up is just another one of those, and it's actually a discipline of surfing, one of the few that we really have that everybody can do it, which is fantastic. We really need that. It's, a selfish surfer would say, hey, it's my wave, my spot, got too many guys already anyway. But listen, anytime I see a girl or a kid on a wave, I'll block for them. And, it's for everybody. The ocean's for everybody. And surfing is for everybody, and paddling is for everybody. And, normally I know you're supposed to be dead to get a Lifetime Achievement Award, or very close to it. That's not my case here, nor is it going to be, I don't think, ever. But I do want to tell you right now that my Lifetime Achievement Award is on that table over there. It's my daughters and my wife. Thank you.